I occasionally come across articles that involve the number one regret people express on their deathbeds, and this is direct testimony from hospice nurses. The number one regret, from what I've seen, typically seems to be working too much, not spending enough time with friends, family, or enjoying one's own hobbies. These people always wish they hadn't slaved their lives away, etc., that they had made memories with friends, that they had that physical and emotional intimacy and closeness with others. But now that they're dying and that all the possessions they've accumulated from working so many hours become meaningless, they realize they don't have anything inside that they acquired or that they made over the years. They feel that an overwhelming emptiness and they just want to die as comfortable as possible, but they still just want to die. You also see these occasional articles of middle aged people or late age, like usually in their 50s or 60s, that finish climbing the corporate ladder and are very successful in the conventional sense. They're the bosses of their companies. They have all the money, all the property, etc. But they still they could be said to have it all, but they still describe their lives as empty. And why is that? Well, they don't have anybody to spend time with. Why? And that's because they slaved away for so many hours, either alienating people or drifting away from them. And now nobody wants anything to do with them. And despite having so much money, so much power, etc., they still feel empty because they don't have that emotional closeness, that intimacy, those memories with friends, family, etc., or those memories of their own where they were doing things that they loved in their free time, etc. Now, they may not even know what their own hobbies are because they've been working for so long, they forget who they are. And it's just, whether it's on the deathbed or from people in late age, the number one regret is always the same. They wish they had spent more time with family and friends. And I myself had personal experience with this. I didn't socialize for my entire childhood. The first 19 years of my life, I essentially hung out with people for about 50 times, give or take. Now, if you want to know just how sparse that is, I invite you to lock yourself up in your apartment for a month on end. Don't contact anyone, family, friends, significant other, nothing. Just you and yourself, assuming you have the financial ability to do this so you can work remotely, and just spend time with yourself for as long as you can, just cooped up in that apartment, and see if you can last a month. Imagine doing that for 19 years. And all that pain that you felt every day, it was adding up in the background, and then bam, it hits you all at once. That loneliness you most people would probably feel, overwhelming loneliness 2 or 3 weeks in, multiply that by about 200. That's what I felt. I was a fucking dumbass. Now, granted, the lack of socializing was by choice and not by external factors, but that's beside the point. When I hit 19, man, oh my God, I've regretted my entire life up until that point for 5.5 years. Most days of my life, I wanted to blow my fucking brains out because, well, of how just the fucking emptiness I feel inside, the emptiness that these older people were saying, or that these people who were terminally on their deathbeds were describing. I know the magnitude of it. I know the size of it, the void of it. Well, that's not grammatically correct, but I know just how large that emptiness can be. And it's difficult to describe unless you try and do that thing for the month I mentioned earlier. But even then, you multiply that by 12 and you multiply that by 19 months in a year and then the number of years. And then you try to imagine that pain and the regret that I felt. And I think that that is what it's of a similar magnitude to what these older folks or people on their deathbed are feeling. And I'm glad one good thing that did come out of it was I'm glad I had it at 19 and not in my late 50s or 40s or early 60s, etc., because I had time to rectify it. I had time to change my life. Now, this was overwhelmingly difficult because I had the social skills of an 8-year old, but I could do the details some other time in another video. But I'm glad I was able to make the memories I wanted, find the friends I want, put in all the work, etc. And I just don't get people who say they're too busy in their young professional lives to go spend time with the ones they love, their family, their friends, or doing things they love, immersing themselves in their hobbies. They always say they're too busy. They never return the text messages, etc. They say they don't have time when all they do is potentially work one full-time job without any kids. Now, the ones that do have kids, that's a different story. But the ones that don't, I never understood that. I myself have worked two full-time jobs, worked full time while in college full time, and I still made time for people because that epiphany made me made me realize how important it was. And these people want to spend their lives slaving away for a corporation that could fucking can their asses like that the next day without even noticing. Well, without a notice. I remember an article that was about Google recently. Some employees tried to swipe their badges to get into the front door at the headquarters, didn't work. Some people who worked remotely tried to log in. They were locked out of their computers. Why? Well, they were fired and they weren't even told so. These people who potentially, not saying all of them did, but who potentially sacrificed their vacation time, sacrificed their time with friends, their significant other, their family, their own time with their own hobbies to prove their loyalty to a company that fucking cans their fucking asses on the street the next day without so much as a notice. And there's not much they can do about it because God knows, I mean, the company could say they did this one little thing from an employee manual that's that thick and the employee doesn't have a legal leg to stand up. But anyway, that's beside the point. They always said they were too busy, too wanting to get the professional lives in order, wanted to climb the corporate ladder and become president of the company or department or whatever before they were 40. And they were just eviscerated like that. But even if this is not true, they're making the same mistakes that these older people made. They're doing the exact same thing. They're working their lives away. They're not making memories. They're not developing that physical and emotional, intimate closeness with other people, their significant others, their friends, their family. They're not making memories themselves with the things they enjoy, if they even remember who they are because they're working so many hours. They're they're making the same mistake that these older people say, don't do what I did. Don't make that mistake. And with how news feeds work nowadays, you have to wonder at some point an article like this had to come across and grab their attention, if only briefly, and it just fell on deaf ears. Take it from me, take it from them. You don't want to know what that loneliness feels like. That regret, that emptiness you will feel when you don't have that physical or emotional closeness with anyone, when you don't have those memories, when all the conventional wealth properties, that accumulated bullshit, it doesn't matter because when there's nothing left to achieve, all you got left is what's on the inside. And if there's nothing but emptiness there, oh man, that pain is unfathomable. And the longer you wait, the more it hurts. So take it from me, take it from them. Do not make the mistake that we did. I'm glad I had that epiphany at 19 because that gave me time to turn my life around. Have that epiphany in your mid 30s, early 40s if you need to, before you feel that pain, because believe me, the magnitude of it will be greater than anything you could have ever imagined. You do not want to know that pain, that level of loneliness. Because I tell you, take a conventional day where you feel alone, multiply by about 200. That's what you'll be immersed in for years on end, assuming you don't commit suicide. And that is a very real possibility every day you walk this earth after you realize the mistake you made. So please, if you're watching this and you have this bad habit, turn it around. Quit doing it. Make friends. Get back in touch with family. Create memories. Get that physical and emotional closeness all of us crave. That social support. Find your hobbies. Rediscover who you are. Immerse yourself in conventional pastimes. Make memories. Make enjoyable times so you do not feel this emptiness creeping up on you and hitting you upside the head one day like a ton of bricks, because it will be more painful than anything you have ever experienced.